Peace. Welcome back to the Universal Temple for the Sun, Planets, Moon, and Stars. I'll be your Lord of Hosts, Lord Messiah. And we're going back into the SF-181 form, right? So I was building on it before my camera cut off, right? You know, fake would be hating when I start dropping that high science. You already know how that go. But anyway, so we talk about how, you know what I'm saying, on the job, right, they use the different, they use the fact of visual observation to determine someone's race or ethnicity. So if a person came into the job and they happen to be so-called African American, and they don't get the job, they'll wait until his dark skin, you know, Puerto Rican, Haitian, Dominican, Trinidadian, Jamaican, what have you, comes in and they'll give them the job and they'll say, well, based on visual observation, he's black, he has melanin, he or she has melanin, they're black. So, you know what I'm saying, they play that game with about the melanin because they can use their visual observation as it says in the code, on the form. So when you go down to the subsection of the form, it gets even deeper where they start to actually define the racial categories, right? You know what I'm saying? And like I said, how they're able to impact your employment status is by using that against you. So like I said, when you go on a job, you be like, yo, it's nothing but Dominicans in here. It's nothing but Haitians in here. It's nothing but Jamaicans in here. It's nothing but, you know, Trinidadians and so forth. But they mark them down as quote-unquote black. So when you come in as a so-called black or African American, you don't get the job. And this is how legally and through their policies you get discriminated against. See what I'm saying? So now, like I said, in the absence of the information, like if you don't put it down, they will declare what they say your ethnicity or race is by visual observation. So like I said, you know what I'm saying? They'll mark anybody as what they want them to be. So I'm gonna actually pull up the form and actually show you what it says on the actual form. So when we go down to the subsection, because yesterday I labeled this SF-181 form or broken people. Yeah, the God infinite Allah infinite, He building on the broken people, and that's a fact, man. Because that's what we are, man. We are broken people, man. And it's sad when I be talking to a lot of elders, even in my nation, and you know I'm trying to give them information to move forward in the future, and they just speak and you know give the energy as if like things can't happen, as if they're just broken, like they can't move forward, like they just gave up. You know what I'm saying? So okay, so then pass on that knowledge to the younger, and let us move forward with the energy that we still have, because we're not broken. You know what I'm saying? So you know that part. That's my add-on to that build right there. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, right? So moving back to the form, right? So when you go down to the lower, the subsection on the form, it's gonna start breaking down. I may take my computer a little minute to load. Give me a little minute. But anyway, so okay. So they give racial categories. They need to define the racial categories, and they ask, "Are you Hispanic or Latino?" You know what I'm saying? And then they start to break that down, how they see those categories. You know what I mean? Give me 1 second, y'all. Pardon me. Almost there. Here we go. All right, so we back in the building. This the part we about to build on right here. The subsections. You see those so-called races or nationalities? That's what we about to build on right there, and how they're defined. Right? All right. So they say right here, right? It says specific instructions. Question says the two questions below. It says the two questions below are designated to identify your ethnicity and race. Regardless of your answer to question 1, go to question 2. So these are the instructions on the form, right? And this ain't just like, because you know brothers gonna say, oh, is that some Moorish stuff? Because you know you may have heard certain brothers of the Moorish community teaching on this subject, and that's because they're trying to educate you to the fact that you're misclassifying yourself. You know what I'm saying? Purposely, or maybe unknowingly. You know what I'm saying? So this is the reason why we educate. So now you know what it is that you're doing. So anyway, right, it says, question 1, are you Hispanic or Latino? And then in parentheses it says, a person of Cuban, Mexican, Puerto Rican, South or Central American, or other Spanish culture or origin, regardless of race, right? So they don't care what your race is. If you, basically speak Spanish or you have a Spanish culture or origin, then you are considered, quote unquote, Hispanic or Latino. So then question 2, it says, please select the racial category or categories with which you most closely identify by placing an X in the appropriate box. So you seen this part on your job application, right? When they actually check off your race or ethnicity. So keep the racial categories. It says check as many as apply. So you could check off, one or more. So say if you were like biracial, you could check off, I guess, black and white, right? So-called, right? But then what would that make you then? You know what I'm saying? But anyway. So first they got it says American Indian or Alaska Native. It says a person having origins in any of the original peoples. Now listen, quote that term, because you know how we say, black people are original peoples, right? But people how they break it down in this form. It says a person having origins in any of the original peoples of North and South America, including Central America, and who maintain tribal affiliations and community attachments. So you remember above when they defined, when they said, are you Hispanic or Latino? And they said a person of Cuban, Mexican, Puerto Rican, South or Central American. Why didn't they include American Indian or Alaska Native in that? Because, as it goes on to say, it says, and who maintains tribal affiliations or community attachments. So if you didn't maintain your tribal affiliations or community attachments, then you wouldn't be considered so-called American Indian or Alaska Native. See what I'm saying? Because you didn't maintain that tribal affiliation or community attachment. So then, I guess you'll take on one of the misnomers or the terms that they give you, which they say a person of Cuban, Mexican, Puerto Rican, South or Central American, or Spanish culture, regardless of race. See what I'm saying? So that's what they do, right? So let's move on, right? So the next one, it says Asian. It says a person having origins in any of the original peoples. Once again, these people are recognized as original peoples of Far East, Southeast Asia, or the Indian subcontinent, including, for example, Cambodia, China, India, Japan, Korea, Malaysia, Pakistan, Philippine Islands, Thailand, and Vietnam. So all of those people right there are considered, quote-unquote, Asian. Now, you see how they gave all those different ethnicities for Asian? When it gets to so-called African American, how come they don't mention ethnicities from the 54 countries of Africa? Oh, I guess because that would be too much, right? But anyway, I'm gonna save that for last, and there's a reason why I'm gonna save it for last, and you'll see afterwards, right? And you already know how they say, hey, if you black, get to the back, right? Black always go last, right? Well, there's a legal reason why that is, and I'm about to break it down. All right, so then when you get to it says Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islanders. It says a person having origins in any of the original peoples of Hawaii, Guam, Samoa, or other Pacific Islands. Now, when you do your research, you'll realize that those islands, those specific places they just mentioned, are known as the Mariana Islands. And the Mariana Islands are considered sovereign territories outside of the United States, jurisdiction. So they're considered, sovereign territories along with Washington, D.C., which is its own political jurisdiction. It's not necessarily a state. Although there's a state called Washington, but Washington, D.C. is its own political jurisdiction, like the Vatican or something like that, right? So anyway, second to least, we got white. Now peep this, right? This is going to be a real shocker because, for so long we've been playing this crayon game and we've been looking at ourselves like we're a crayon out of a box of crayons, right? So when it says white, it says a person having origins and any of the original peoples. Hold up, white peoples are original peoples? Oh, I thought black peoples the original peoples. Not according to this SS 181 form, and not according to the job application you've been filling out all your life. Okay? So it says a person having origins in any of the original peoples of Europe, the Middle East, or North Africa. So they just said North Africans are considered white. So it says white, it says a person having origins in any of the original peoples of Europe, Middle East, or North Africa. So so-called white people that's born here in the United States, or so-called America, technically they're not white. Technically they are Caucasian. And unless they are and that's from the Caucasus Mountains of Europe, which doesn't necessarily have a geographic, political jurisdiction, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? There's no statehood declared up in those mountains, so to speak. But however, so unless you're from Europe, Middle East, or North Africa, you're not necessarily considered white by definition. So if you're so-called, light, very light skin, and you're born here in America, then you're not necessarily white. See? You would be American by nationality or a citizen of the so-called United States. And then also, too, when people come from different countries here to this country, they go through what's called naturalization. So when you naturalize, then you become a citizen of said country that you naturalize into. So now, last but not least, right, we got so-called black or African American. What does it say for black or African American? It says a person having origins in any of the black racial groups of Africa. Period. It don't say a person having origins in any of the original peoples of the black racial groups of Africa, and then start naming countries from the 54. Start naming states from the 54, states or countries in Africa. They didn't do that. Like when they did Asia, they said a person having origins in any of the Far East, original peoples of Far East, Southeast Asia, including the Indian subcontinent. They gave geographic locations, broke down the geography of Asia. Then they said, including, for example, Cambodia, China, India, Japan, Korea, Malaysia, Pakistan, Philippine Islands, Thailand, and Vietnam. They said all of that for Asia. But when it comes to Africa, they just said, oh, well, a person having origins in any of the black racial groups of Africa. So they just reduced you from original peoples having origins in a specific land to just being a person having origins in a racial black group. Oh, and why is that? Because according to their slavery theory, that they took so-called African Americans from Africa and brought us over here and enslaved us. According to that, they can't tell us exactly where in Africa they took us from, because then they would have to, do the knowledge on the history and start to take accountability for some shit, and then that may be leading to us getting some kind of reparations because they're admitting what they did. Oh, but they don't do that, so they just leave you lost in the source, give you a false identity that says you don't even really have origins in any specific landmass, but just a racial group of people. So like I always say, does that mean I could just hop on a boat, off a plane or a boat anywhere in Africa and say, hey, the white man in America says that, who's not even actually technically white, but he says that I'm part of you guys, so you got to accept me. Like, no, it don't happen like that. I would have to go there and declare citizenship there and all that type of stuff like that, and follow the whole protocols like anybody else and anywhere else. So for them to define us like that, or for us to define ourselves when we check off that box, black or African American, we are now saying that we're not original peoples that have origins in any specific landmass. And if you don't have origins in any specific landmass, then that means that you don't have a statehood a nation state that you can say you belong to or you are a citizen of, which means you have no citizenship, which means you are stateless. And a stateless people, like I say, can never sue a sovereign state and get reparations. So all that, we're going to get reparations one day. No, the fuck you're not. not until you declare your statehood, and then you can sue the so-called United States and the International Court of Justice, where they handle disputes between states. Okay? So when so-called black people realize that we have origins in a specific landmass, and then declare a nationality based on that landmass, so like for example, or that origin of people that we say we originate from, you know what I'm saying, as original peoples, until then, you're just black or African American. You're just a Negro. You're just whatever they want to call you. Colored, this, that, and the third. 14th Amendment slave. See what I'm saying? So, you understand the importance of statehood? So now that I broke down that, now I want to get into some particular sciences, right? Dealing with the parliament, right? Now, this is, like I said, once again, not to cause any division or anything like that, but these are just facts that I'm speaking, right? And we got to really understand these things and really let it sink into our head as so-called black people, right? Now, knowing and understanding everything I just broke down, right? We got to understand that in the nation of God's earth, right? You know, we teach about 16 shades of blackness, you know what I'm saying? We teach in the understanding degree that the so-called Indians, they are original peoples too, you know what I'm saying, and things of that nature, right? But we got to understand, right, dealing with statehood, nationality, citizenship, and the technicalities of where we live at in this land and all that shit and what's actually going on, right? Those so-called descendants of those so-called Indians today would be known as your so-called Hispanics or Latinos and what have you. And if you ask them and you go back in their history, they have origins in Olmecs, in Incas, and Mayans, and what they called Taino, you know what I'm saying? Arawak, you know what I mean? These are indigenous peoples, original peoples of this land, the Mesoamericans and whatnot. See what I'm saying? These are the original peoples, right? So nowadays they got these misnomers that they go under, you know what I'm saying, that they call, like they say, you know, Hispanic, Latino, Mexican, Cuban, da-da-da-da-da. But way back when, they obviously wasn't known as that. Just like way back when we were not known as so-called black people or African Americans. So like I say, the term African American, that's a misnomer, because unless we have a dual citizenship, how are we actually African Americans? Make it make sense. If an Italian comes from Italy and then he comes over here to America and he gains citizenship, he becomes an Italian American, right? If a person comes from Japan and he comes here to America and he gains citizenship after a while, he becomes a Japanese American, right? And he obtains a dual citizenship, right? Or he could stay over here long enough and just remain sole citizenship over here, relinquish his citizenship from his past country if he chose to naturalize. You know what I mean? So things of that nature, right? So then that would be a dual citizenship. So now, so-called black or African Americans, if on that form, right? Because we're talking about the SF-181 form, right? If they didn't say we were peoples having origins in any of the original peoples of specific land masses in Africa, then that doesn't really define a nationality, such as like we had Asian, Pacific Islanders, Native American, Native Indian, Alaska Native, and so forth, right? American Indian, all that, right? So all of those terms would actually define a quote-unquote nationality, but quote-unquote black or African American is not a nationality. So therefore, and even in the God degree in the lessons, right? We say, why does the devil call our people so-called African? You know what I'm saying? Because he wants to make us think we're all different, right? So forth, right? So now, this is the point I want to get into without further delay, man. And I'm gonna just keep it funky, man. Fuck all that technical, trying to sound all smart and justified. Look, it is what it is. You got people in our nation. If I'm breaking it down as far as how the so-called black man needs to declare a nationality, because how I just broke it down, all of those misnomers that we go under is not declaring nationality. And then you got people of other nationalities on paper. Technically, they have a nationality on paper. It may be Puerto Rican per se. It may be Panamanian per se. It may be quote unquote Native American per se, or whatever native tribe that a person may come from. If you go back to past parliaments and see specific people that had objections to what I was saying about us declaring, the Asiatic black man declaring his statehood, then go back and realize that and see the reason why. And I'm going to break down the reason why specific nations of people would have a disagreement with the Asiatic black man doing so. Because we fool ourselves here in America in this social, we want to be socially cool to call ourselves black. Like, yeah, we black, yeah, black people cool. Yeah, everybody do what black people do. But, okay, whatever. But we want to be the world's entertainment or some shit like that. Like, fuck all that. So, reality, what I'm saying is that different people that come to so-called America, right, and they come among so-called black people, right, we socially accept them because they have melanin, and we socially accept them calling themselves black, right, because it's just cool, right, we all black, right, and if they said they wasn't black, we would look at them like, what you mean you not black? Look at you, man, you black. No, he has melanin. Okay, and scientifically, you could define his melanin as a hue or a complexion of black, if that's what you want to do. But however, black would just be defining an aspect that defines your race, a commonality that defines your race, not necessarily nationality. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I said on that form, you could be of any Spanish origin, regardless of race. You see what I'm saying? So the race and the origin and the national origin is obviously two different things. So as we say in the lessons, 85% don't know their origin in this world. So then we as the gods of earth, we got to know our origin in this world. And we got to know that the people that we bring among us in our nation and so forth, right? They know their origin in this world, in this world. And this is what I posted it. Anybody that has something against the Asiatic black man declaring his nationality and no longer going by the term African American, Negro, colored, black, and all that other bullshit that is not a nationality, if anybody has something against that, you got to really start looking at them as being suspect. And why do they have something against that? I'm about to break it down to you. I keep delaying it, but I'm trying to build up to it. The reason being is because, like I said, we socially accept all of these people that have melanin as being, quote unquote, black, and we socially accept them in the black club. But if you ask people from these different places that they come from, what does their passport say? Their passport don't say black. Their passport says Dominican Republic. Their passport says Republic of Haiti. Their passport says Puerto Rico. Their passport says Panamania, Dominica, or wherever it is that they come from. So it don't say black, and it don't say Asiatic black man either. You know what I'm saying? So how you define yourself is not necessarily how other people are defined. So just because we want to clump everybody in this social group and say, yeah, we all black. No, technically, that's not what their birth certificate says. That's not what their naturalization papers say. It's not what their citizenship papers say. It's not what their passport says. See what I'm saying? So that's what you got to realize. And now, so-called black people in America who ain't never been outside of America, we ain't even got no passport or anything like that to know how you would be defined if you were to even travel internationally. See? Now, how would you do that? Would it say on your passport that you're African American? Okay, so then from what country in Africa did you come from? Can you tell me? Where? What country in Africa did we come? It's 54 countries in Africa. What country in Africa did we come from to call ourselves African American? Like I said it before, it's very quite easily clear. An Italian comes from Italy to America, gains a dual citizenship, he's called Italian American. A Japanese comes from Japan to America, gains citizenship, he's called the Japanese American. How would you call the African American? What place in Africa did you come from to America to now make you an African American? Make it make sense. it in the chat. Like, oh, okay. So, therefore, we got to understand that this is a misnomer that doesn't make sense and we cannot define it. Matter of fact, I'm about to break this down at the next parliament and I'm going to ask that question. And they're going to be like, yo, we not African, we the Asiatic black man. Okay, so what place in Asia did you come from? No, see, Asia means the whole earth. Okay, so then are you an earthling? Like, come on, man. So when we're dealing with statehood, right? Now, there's a specific reason why we're dealing with statehood, because we can't be running around here with such a blanket statement of being quote unquote African American or even quote unquote Asiatic black man. As we say, black man of Asia, right? What part in Asia did we come from? Like I said, and then we're gonna say Asia is the whole planet Earth. I understand that science, but even going back to that, you got to go back into Pangea, when the Earth was one, when the continents was one, and so forth like that. And what did you call yourself then? Because I know it wasn't called the Asiatic black man. I'm pretty sure it wasn't that. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? You got to make shit make sense, is what I'm trying to say. So, according to statehood, states are declared through states, you know what I'm saying? One plot of land at a time. It ain't a whole big old, unless you coming under an empire or something like that, you know what I'm saying? And we don't claim to be under an empire. So the science is, right? Oh, now, like I was saying too, the reason why also too people will have a problem with us declaring our statehood is because now technically, like I said, on their birth certificate or their passport that they use to travel internationally and go see their people in their native country, because obviously this ain't their native country, you know what I'm saying? It don't say black, like I said, it says whatever it says. And therefore, this is how they able to travel and do what they do and have their remittance, their money sent back to their peoples and this, that, and third, and do all of that stuff that so-called black people cannot do and don't do. Unless you got peoples in these other places, right? So, they don't want to mess up their connection with the United States. So now, this is the thing too. They under master's government. They under the United States government. Because, boom, when quote-unquote foreigners get pulled over, when people of other races get pulled over, so-called Hispanics, Asians, they start quoting the Constitution. Why do they start quoting the Constitution? Because they got rights afforded to them because of that Constitution. Because why? Because they pledged their allegiance to the United States of America when they naturalized and became citizens of the United States of America. So now they are afforded rights of the Constitution. When did we naturalize and become citizens of the United States? So did they just make us so-called citizens under the 14th Amendment? Oh, is that what happened to us? We were forced into so-called citizenship through the 14th Amendment? Because we never said, oh, hey, yeah, this is what we want. We signing up for it. Or is it that when they pass laws and we don't react to shit and we just acquiesce and we just sit back with no political party, no political body, no body politic in place to make any administrative response when they do anything through their laws? So then we're subject to their laws and we just got to deal with it. And y'all still don't understand the importance of statehood and all this international law stuff I'm saying we need to do for ourselves as a nation. Y'all still don't understand the importance of this? I guess you don't get it. So anyway, like I said, they don't want to lose those privileges they got under that Constitution. So if there's someone in the nation of Earth that happens to be of said other nation and they have a constitution of another nation and a dual citizenship or whatever the case may be, then yeah, that might be a conflict of interest for them. But who are they to come amongst a nation that is predominantly built by the Asiatic black man per se and tell him that he cannot do what he needs to do for himself? That's some bullshit, and that's worse than what the white man been doing all this time. That's about, the white man trying to stop us from doing this. But yet you got motherfuckers in your own nation now to try to do that shit, and y'all don't even see it that way. And now y'all gonna tell me that I'm being racist, right? That I'm pulling a race card, or I'm bringing up a racial context about it. No, I'm bringing up facts about it. Shit that y'all don't even see. Because like I said, y'all want to clump, so-called black people want to clump everybody in this social black club and call everybody black like we need numbers or some shit. But technically not understanding what an actual nationality is. See what I'm saying? Understanding the difference. So yeah, socially you may call yourself black, and scientifically you may have melanin, meaning you have a dark skin and complexion. But what does your birth certificate say? What does your That's crazy, man. That's some crazy shit. This nigga goats got loose and shit, man. You got police watching and shit. You ain't gotta keep tasing the animal, man. You gotta get arrested for he tasing the animal with the damn taser. You gonna get arrested for animal cruelty and shit, man. You already got the animal under control, like just take it back to where it need to be. But what about I know I wasn't tripping. I thought that might have been a pack of dogs, but I seen like 4 fucking goats running up the road earlier. I said, I know this weed ain't that good. But yeah, but I guess some of the animals got loose. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So, we gotta understand, right? So, we all got melanin, right? You know what I'm saying? The original peoples. So genetically, right, and scientifically, we can say that we are black all day because, you know, we got melanin, and the black gene, the brown gene is dominant gene, basically. You know what I'm saying? Dominant recessive gene. But the black gene is a dominant gene. So scientifically, we can say we're black all day due to the melanin, due to the fact that, you know, original people come from the earth, the depths of the sea is black, the soils of the earth is black. So yeah, in that scientific sense, we could say we're black. But on paper, legally, you don't want to say that you're black because legally that's a status. That means that you don't have an origin of original peoples from a specific landmass. So it's just a blanket statement or a blanket misnomer that we accept socially that has no political identity to it. See what I'm saying? Because in politics, matter of fact, they got what's called the Black Caucus in the White House, right? They got a party called the Black Caucus. Like, make that shit make sense, right? A caucus is something that's dead, a dead body. So the Black Caucus is a dead body, or the politically dead body. And we think that we're gonna get some kind of something happening out of that. What can happen out of a politically dead body? I mean, literally. So it's like saying, like, okay, black people, we're gonna allow you to have a little chance in politics, but you gotta call your party the Black Caucus, which means you're politically dead. Bro, wake up, see the trickery, see the trick knowledge. You gotta study words so you understand the word play. So the word play and the manipulation is being used every day. But if you don't see the shit, then you just gonna be blind. I'm black, man. I'm black. We black. Yeah, man. Yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. If you don't know how to separate the fact of being black scientifically from the fact of being black legally or due to your ethnicity or race, and know the difference, then you're gonna get caught up playing these games, and you're gonna think that you're a crayon out of a box of crayons. Oh, I'm the black crayon. Oh, he's the white crayon. Oh, he's the beige crayon. Oh, he's the reddish looking crayon. Come on, man, that's ignorance, man. You know, like Tasha Lee, shout out to Tasha Lee. We dropped on you many times. We're not crayons, and if we keep seeing ourselves as a crayon out of a box of crayons, then you're gonna be labeling yourself wrong. And now also too, right? We go into the wisdom degree. We say, well, let's deal with the knowledge knowledge first. We say, who is the original man? We say the original man is the Asiatic black man, maker and owner, cream of the planet Earth, father of civilization, and God of the universe. Who is the colored man? The colored man is a Caucasian white man, Yakub's grafted devil of the planet Earth, right? I more so say he's on the planet Earth, not necessarily of the planet Earth, because he's not of the planet Earth like the original peoples. However, he's on the planet Earth. But anyway, so it says Yakub's grafted devil. So we understand that Yakub understood the science of genetics. He understood that the black gene is dominant, the brown gene is recessive, and if the black man can have a black or brown baby, but if you kill that black baby and save the brown baby, and if you kill that brown baby and save the yellow baby, and if you kill that yellow baby and save the white babies, you will graft out a fully grafted, devil, as what took place, a 600-year process. 200 years of separating the black from the brown gene from the black man. Another 400 years of grafting that brown gene into a white. So we understand that science, right? So now, if you are not technically the original black man, so to speak, how dare you tell the original black man speaking amongst his people that he don't need to make a vital move to put himself in a position where he's no longer the fucking bottom of the totem pole? How racist are you to say some bullshit like that? See what I'm saying? And people ain't even peep it like that because they're not educated the way I'm breaking this shit down. You know what I'm saying? Like, people ain't even see that. Oh, they ain't see it that, maybe he would have a conflict of interest. Maybe he has a dual citizenship with the United States. And by us as a nation declaring our statehood and he don't get with it, he'll seem like there's an odd reason why he didn't do that. Oh, well, we know why you didn't do it, because you already got a contract with the United States. And you already protected by their Constitution. So for me to talk about our own Constitution, then, you had a problem with that. See? But all y'all sitting in the audience ain't realize that? Wake up and realize that there's people that don't want you to prosper. They don't want you to declare your nationality because they want to stay in this black club with you. They want you to accept them in the hood. Yeah, I be chilling with the black people, y'all. They say I'm black, y'all. I'm cool, y'all. The fuck out of here, man. That shit is corny, man. Meanwhile, black people ain't even got their own institutions, ain't got their own government, ain't got their own laws set up. But you want to be cool to be black, right? Fuck out of here. Now, if you realize these same people that you accept as being socially black, you know what I'm just speaking facts. You know what their parents tell them? Don't hang out with those black people. You don't want to get in trouble. You know they be smoking weed and selling drugs and doing all that stuff and stealing and you don't want to get arrested. You might get deported. You might get in trouble and they send you back to your country. So don't hang out with them because you don't want to get in trouble. See, that's what their parents tell them. See what I'm saying? But when they're chilling with you in the hood and the streets and it's cool and all of that and y'all kicking it, they not saying that necessarily because they may realize that what their parents is telling them, it may not all be true, but I'm going to tell you that some of it may be true because technically if they do get in trouble, they can get deported. So not for racist reasons that they say don't hang out with the black people, for reasons of them not getting deported, they say don't hang out with them. Because they don't want to jeopardize getting sent back to the country, then they got to start all over again. They came here for a reason. They came here to build and take advantage of the opportunities you should be taking advantage of, but you sitting on your ass. See what I'm saying? But we want to keep blaming everything on racism because this is what we was taught. But we don't see the reality of the situation. See what I'm saying? So am I racist or am I racially conscious? Am I conscious of the racial matters that exist? Yeah, I think I'm conscious. But a lot of people may not be conscious of these matters. So when we experience these things, we may not know that this is what's actually taking place and why. So, once again, when someone of a Native American origin in this world spoke out against something I had to say, maybe I need to think about everything I just said, and maybe that's the reason why. When someone of I believe, a Panamanian origin in this world says something against what I was saying, maybe I need to think about, maybe that's the reason why. When someone of I believe, if I'm wrong, correct me, a Puerto Rican origin in this world has something to say against what I said, or Taino, if that's what they want to call it, then maybe that's why. See what I'm saying? Well, obviously, it ain't Taino no more. It got to be Puerto Rican, because that's why they got that passport and those rights in that Constitution that they so worried about being inflicted. It ain't the God you love. It ain't the God you love. It's the United States Constitution they worried about being inflicted. That's what y'all need to realize, man. Gotta wake up, man. It ain't the God you love. But anyway, speaking of the God you love, if y'all read that Constitution, build on that. Holla at me, because I want to add on with y'all. I understand the science of Constitution. I know all the aspects that need to be added in the Constitution. And we can maybe amend that Constitution and get it up to date. And in that way, you can actually get a board to put it together and actually get it running. You can't be all mad and defensive, defending some shit that you ain't even administrating yourself, that you just letting sit on the shelf. So when you get in the proper administrative position to start operating that Constitution and actually know what the fuck you doing, then you could get all mad and act like somebody's getting in your way or stopping you from doing something. You don't even know what you're doing. But anyway, I need to start listening to your righteous brother, Lord Messiah, because I'll be breaking down all that international law shit. So y'all need to stop hating and start listening and start learning, so you can start applying and stop crying and complaining about shit. That's what you need to do. See what I'm saying? But yo, people gonna let now, the 1 in 36 says, that a trader made an interpretation that they were that they will earn more gold than they were earning in their own country. And the lessons say that the trader disappeared. Did they receive more gold? No, the trader disappeared and there was no one to speak the language. Think about that. A trader made an interorientation that they will receive more gold for their labor, which was more than they were earning in their own country. Did they receive more gold? No. The trader disappeared and there was no one to speak the language. Wow. Ain't that something? Ain't that similar to that half original Farad dude that disappeared and there was no one to speak the language but Elijah? Yo, Naeem Akbar said in Breaking the Chains of Psychological Slavery, page 10, he who is ignorant to history is doomed to repeat it. So our lessons say that we're supposed to renew our history, right? Not repeat our history. It says renew our history. Why does Islam renew its history every 25,000 years? Not why does Islam repeat its history every 25,000 years? Why does Islam renew its history every 25,000 years? See what I'm saying? And what does the word renew mean? Well, we know that re means to do again, and new means to bring into existence something that has not been before. So when you renew something, that means that you're refurnishing it, reorganizing it, restructuring it, and then bringing it into existence in a way that's never been brought before. See what I'm saying? So for example, like I say simply, right? You can just say that without mathematics, right? You know what I mean? Like if today were culture, right? And you had 3 gods in the cipher, right? And the older god came through and he's like, yo, peace, gods, how y'all see today's mathematics? And the young guys is like, you got three guys in the cipher. The young guys like, I see today's mathematics is culture. Culture is the way of life. And then the next guy say, I see today's mathematics is culture. Culture is the way of life. And then the third guy say, I see today's math. Like, they all just said the same thing. Now, if three guys say, if you got educated guys, right? And the older guy comes and say, how you see today's mathematics? And the first guy say, I see today's mathematics as culture. Culture is the way of life. And then the second guy say, I see today's mathematics as culture. And culture is mathematics, which is Islam, and Islam, which is mathematics, and can be proven within a no limit of time. And then the third brother says, I see culture as the way I see culture as Islam, or I see culture as my way of life, in which I, God, manifest supreme mathematics, right? Well, I see the culture as supreme mathematics. Right now, it's just three different manifestations, not all saying the same thing. So they're not repeating themselves like parrots. Like you just teach a parrot how to quote something, and then the parrot repeat what you say. Like anybody can do that. But you're really educated when you show that you have your own manifestation, your own self-styled wisdom, as the Father taught us to have. The Father said you're supposed to have your own self-styled wisdom. So that means that everybody ain't supposed to be sounding the same. You know what I mean? Everybody's supposed to have their own way of how they manifest what they manifest. You know what I'm saying? If you sound like him, if he sound like him, if he sound like him, man, y'all sound like a bunch of like it ain't like y'all singing in a choir or something. And even in a choir, you got different notes, you got different tones, different pitches. You know what I mean? Everybody ain't all singing on the same key. So anyway, point of the matter is that renewing your history, right? Going back to renewing the history. So the fact of the matter is that as a nation, right? I say, so are we going to wait till the year 24,999 before we finally be like, yo, man, it's almost 25,000. We got to renew our history. Like, no, dude, because nobody's going to live to the year 24,999 to be like, yo, it's crunch time. We got to renew this history. No. So that means that you got to do it right now. I renew my history every day, every week, every month, every year, every decade. You know what I'm saying? And if I live a half a century, if I live a century, then I'm going to renew it then too. You know what I mean? Like, this ain't no, stay stuck on stupid. Like, for real, man, because that's what it is. That's basically what we do. Like, if you keep repeating the same thing. Yo, don't they say, Martin Lawrence said in his comedy, he said, insanity means to do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. So if you keep repeating your history, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, that's actually insanity. That's one of the definitions of insanity. So it's like, are we insane as a people, or as a nation, or as individuals? Make it make sense. What we really doing out here? Can't keep repeating the same thing over and over again. And another example of that too is how God's be like, yeah, God, my mathematics, I go from knowledge to born and born back to knowledge. And I'll be like, yo, bro, how you go from knowledge to born and born back to knowledge? You go from 1 to 9 and then back to 1? Okay, we know knowledge cipher 10 is 1 plus 0. So that equals 1. But that's if you're breaking it down. Because you still got to acknowledge your knowledge. You got to acknowledge 10 is knowledge cipher, then 11 is knowledge. 12 is knowledge wisdom. 13 is knowledge understanding. And then you got to acknowledge your culture, acknowledge your power, acknowledge God, knowledge build, knowledge born. Then you got to wisdom your cipher. Then you got to wisdom your knowledge, wisdom your understanding, wisdom your culture, and so forth and so forth. You go through the understanding ciphers, culture ciphers, power ciphers, etc., etc. So, it's really simple, right? Even physically, right? In your physical degrees. When you was 9 years old, did you go from 1 year old to 9 years old and then back to 1 year old again? Back to a baby? No, nigga, you turned 10. And then you became 11. and 12 and 13 and so forth and so forth. So when you say, yo, God, my mathematics go from knowledge to born and born back to knowledge, that means that you're going in circles like a dog chasing his tail. You're not going nowhere. After you go from knowledge to born, you got to acknowledge your cipher. Yo, even in the Bible, right? You know, as an example, right? Even the so-called God of the Bible, they said after he made everything that he created, it said he looked at everything he had made and saw that it was good. So that basically means that after he took everything, the creation from knowledge to born, he acknowledged his cipher. Like, come on, man. Even the God of the Bible did that. And we say we the true and living God. Ain't no mystery God. The God of the Bible is fake. So even the God, and I'm not saying, but I'm just using that as an example. So, you know, you got basically mathematics is consistent. You gotta keep building. It don't stop at born. You go from one to 9, knowledge to born, then you knowledge your cipher at 10, then you knowledge your knowledge at 11, you knowledge your wisdom at 12, you know what I mean, so forth, so forth. Same thing like in school, right? When you go from 1st to 12th grade, right? You go from 1st to 12th grade and then you graduate, and then they put that capstone on your head. You know, when you graduate, they put the cap on your head. That capstone is square because it represents a pyramid base. And you know how they say through higher education you reach for the stars? This is why the tip of the pyramid is aligned with the stars. So through higher education you reach for the stars. And how do you do that? By going to college. Because after 12th grade, you take a little time off, right? And then you go to 13th grade, so to speak. You go to college, right? And in college, what's one of the major degrees that you can acquire? It's called a master's degree. And what's the 13th letter of the alphabet? M, which in our supreme mathematics, our supreme alphabet is master. So we understand that 13 is master. So when you go to college, which is 13th grade, you get a master's degree, and a master's degree qualifies you to teach from 1st to 12th grade. See what I'm saying? Another example. Knowledge understanding degree. The knowledge understanding degree is 1 to 14. 13th degree says, what is the meaning of CAP, CIAN, and LIETEANANT? Answer, captain and lieutenant. The duty of the captain is to give orders to the lieutenant. The lieutenant is to teach, also train the private soldiers. So you got captain and lieutenant. So the captain is at the 13. That's master status, because a captain is a master. And a master is qualified to teach. This is why that's 13. You know, 11 is king, that's knowledge. How KRS-One said, he said, kings lose crowns, but teachers stay intelligent. See what I'm saying? So, y'all could be king, I'll be master. See what I'm saying? You could be a king, I'll be a master. Because I'm going to stay intelligent. But you could lose your crown, king. See what I'm saying? But yeah, check it out, right? So we got to understand the mathematics, man. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, it consistently builds. So yeah, so at the last parliament, the guy was like, you know, we got to live out our mathematics. I'm like, God, if you don't know mathematics by now, come on, man. Like, how long you been here supreme mathematics? Supreme mathematics, you probably older than me. You got a lot of gray on your like, come on now. How long you had supreme mathematics? You don't know how to live this out by now? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and really it's like, come on, mathematics, babies know this, man. We teach supreme mathematics, supreme alphabet to babies. The babies know it. You see the video where the baby's like, knowledge, wisdom, understanding. Like, the babies know this, man. That's 1, 2, 3, ABC. If you don't know your 1, 2, 3s and ABCs by now, and you a grown-ass man, come on, bro. Come on. So it's not like we got to keep concentrating on that. There's so many other things that we could build on as a nation. Like I say, when I build on international law and how nations actually add on It ain't just on no 1, 2, 3 and ABC. I'm pretty sure multiple nations have an alphabet and a number system. It may not be supreme mathematics or supreme alphabet, but they got a number system and an alphabet system that they use in their society to build. Like, that's nothing, it's not really something special about that. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why I say that, and I say that at this degree of my life, I learned supreme mathematics when I was 14. I'm 43 now. So, I mean, come on. I mean, I can't really be impressed by a science that I done repeated year after year, day after day, for years, months, and days now. I mean, if you still, I'm not saying that the science doesn't still blow my mind, because, like, I mean, shit is like, you learn shit every day. It's not saying like I stopped learning. Knowledge is infinite. But I'm saying that, you know, we understand the basic formula of supreme mathematics, supreme alphabet. We got it down pat by now, because we've been living it out and applying it to our lives all this time. So it's not like something we gotta, you know, crack the code or reinvent the wheel. It's already there. So, like I say, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I just say, yo, put some Daytons on that motherfucker and keep it spinning. You know what I'm saying? Put some rims on it. You know what I mean? But yeah. Other than that, but yeah, man, I'm in this slide video. I ain't gonna hold y'all too long. But yeah, but that SF-181 form is real, man. Because like I said, this is, oh, okay, let me lay my plane on this. The significance of me breaking down that form as well is because contractually, right, you gotta understand everything is a contract, right? So how you choose the contract in this world, you know, as far as like, you know, like I said, the SF-181 form is form how they identify race and ethnicity. So if you're identifying yourself in a certain way contractually, did you know also that form, they send that form to the Census Bureau. And now the Census Bureau records you for contractually identifying yourself, however you've been contractually identifying yourself for the past 20, 30, 40, 50 years, however long you've been filling out these job applications and checking off that box. You see what I'm saying? So that's how you identify yourself. So until you correct that you know, classification or how you identify yourself, and start to check that other box. You know, they got that box that says other, and then they might have a line under. You check the box other, and then you write how you define yourself. And you keep doing that, and keep doing that, and keep doing that, and then after a certain amount of time, you know what I'm saying, it will be updated in their system that, oh, he's contractual identifying himself as this now. He checked the box other, and he said that he is this now. Oh, okay, so we got to put it in the records that he says he's this now, not that other box. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, the form says if you don't check the box, your employing agency will attempt to. Pardon the noise, y'all. Your employing agency will attempt to identify your race or ethnicity by way of visual observation. So if you don't check the box saying what you are, they can check the box for you, basically. That's what the form says. It says it right there on the form. Like if you read the full form, the standard form 181, like I just pulled it up, I showed y'all the full form. Now, like I said, that subsection where they break down the racial categories, that subsection is on your job application. But the top part of that form is not on your job application. So like I said, unless you look up the full form and read it, you won't know that that's how people are being discriminated against in the work field, even though the form says it has no impact on your race, on your employment status, but clearly it does. Like I said, if you're a so-called African American and you go into the warehouse and you be like, yo, it's all Dominicans in here, it's all Trinidadians, it's all Haitians, it's all dark-skinned Puerto Ricans, because they use that form that says if they don't check off the box, by visual observation, your employing agent can check it off for you. So guess what? When you didn't check the box because you said, yo, if I check off and say I'm black, they're not going to give me the job. Guess what they did? They said, okay, he didn't check the box. we're gonna check him off in another category. We're gonna say he's a other. And when the Dominican, the Haitian, the Trinidadian, or other dark skinned race comes in, they're gonna give them the job, and you as a so-called black or African American, you don't get the job. See? So it does impact your employment status, but the form says it doesn't. See the manipulation, y'all. You gotta wake up and see what's going on. So, you don't educate yourself, then you're gonna be taken advantage of. And then you're gonna be complaining, and you're gonna be like, yo, they doing this because we black. You check the box. They ain't tell you to check that box. You check that box. And you didn't read what that shit really entails. So when you check the box, don't be like, yo, they doing this because I'm black. You said you was black. You said you had no nationality. You said you had no origin in this world. So, they didn't know how to treat you according to international law. Oh my fucking God, man. Damn, yo. Bro, this shit don't get no more clearer than this, yo. How y'all don't understand this shit, yo? Come on, bro. If you don't identify yourself, and if you don't have any international laws to protect you, then they just gonna say, yo, he is what we want him to be, and we're gonna treat him how we want to treat him. Bro, y'all better wake the fuck up, man. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, that shit just hit me just now. You see what I'm saying? Like, and like I said, I didn't broke down this form so many times, but every time I go over it, I see something new. That shit just struck me right just now. Like, god damn, bro. Like, get out of the matrix, man. I'm gonna say peace, y'all. Ain't really much more I can say. I could talk about this shit all night. I ain't gonna drill it in y'all head. But y'all gotta wake up and understand. Peace.